All right, so new refrigerants. Not exactly the most captivating topic at first glance, right?
Right.
But stick with us, because today we're going on a deep dive, and we're going to uncover a really cool story, one that involves, like, cutting-edge innovation and the future of our planet, and even, like, how much money you spend to keep your house cool. It's 2025. The HVAC world is always buzzing. But this year, one of the biggest trends is this push for eco-friendly refrigerants. I mean, think about it. You're probably thinking, why should I even care what's going on inside my AC?
Yeah.
But we're going to show you how these choices we make about refrigerants, they're tied to these huge issues like, global warming and energy efficiency and all. And it's not just about AC units, right?
Right.
It's about understanding, like, the choices we make as consumers and the impact those choices have on the world around us.
Exactly. And speaking of choices, our source material mentions these two new refrigerants, R-32 and R-454B. They're like leading the charge in this whole eco-friendly movement. So can you break down what makes these refrigerants different? What makes them, like, better?
Yeah, break it down for us.
Sure. So, the key here is this concept called global warming potential, or GWP.
Okay, GWP.
Yeah, GWP. It's basically a measure of how much a gas can trap heat in the atmosphere, compared to carbon dioxide over a certain period of time, usually like 100 years. And so the higher the GWP, the worse that gas is for the environment, in terms of global warming. Think of it like this. Imagine you have two blankets.
Okay.
One is like a thin sheet, and the other is a thick, heavy comforter.
Right.
The thin sheet, that's like a refrigerant with a low GWP. It traps a little bit of heat. The thick comforter, that's like a refrigerant with a high GWP, trapping a lot more heat.
Gotcha. So older refrigerants, they were like those thick comforters, right?
Exactly. They had a much higher GWP, contributing more to, climate change. Oh, okay.
And the new refrigerants, like R-32 and R-454B, they're like switching to that thin sheet.
Okay.
They have a much lower GWP, making them a much more sustainable choice. And just to give you some numbers here, the old refrigerant we used to use a lot, R-410A, that had a GWP of over 2,000.
Wow.
But R-32, that has a GWP of 675.
Okay.
And R-454B is even lower at 466. So, we're talking about a serious reduction in the impact on the environment.
Wow. So that's huge. It sounds like these new refrigerants they're a big win for the environment.
Definitely.
But there are always trade-offs, right? Like,
Yeah.
Are there downsides to switching to these new refrigerants? Is it more expensive? What are we looking at here?
Yeah, you're right. There are always things to consider. Like, for example, R-32. It is mildly flammable, so technicians, they need to be properly trained to handle it safely.
Right. That makes sense.
And, the newer refrigerants, they can be a little bit more expensive up front, but in the long run, they're more energy efficient. So you could actually save money on your energy bills. Oh, okay, so it kind of evens out.
Right.
Our source also mentions, like, stricter government regulations, which honestly doesn't always sound like a good thing. But are we talking about a temporary trend here, or are these changes here to stay? Like, what's going on with the regulations?
Well, it's both. It's both industry innovation and government regulations that are pushing this whole thing forward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There are new standards coming out, like SEER 2.
Okay.
You might have heard of that. It's like new way of measuring energy efficiency.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really pushing manufacturers to create more efficient AC systems. And guess what? Refrigerants play a huge role in achieving those, like, super high SEER 2 ratings.
Oh, I see.
So it's a win-win. You get a more efficient system,
Yeah.
which saves you money in the long run, and it's better for the planet.
Right. So choosing a system with a higher SEER2 rating, it's like a double win.
Exactly.
It's amazing how a choice that seems so small, like what's in my AC, can actually have a pretty big impact in the bigger picture.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder, like, what other industries could make this kind of shift towards sustainability?
Yeah.
And what can we, as consumers do to support those changes?
Right, because we do have power, right? We vote with our dollars. So the next time you hear that familiar hum of your AC, remember that there's a whole quiet revolution happening inside.
Yeah.
And it's one that's good for your wallet, and it's good for the planet.
It is.
Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
You're welcome.
It's been a fascinating deep dive. I think we all learned something today. Until next time, keep those ACs humming.
And keep thinking about those choices.
Absolutely.